So I've often thought about, what is it exactly that our intuition is channeling? What is the source? Where does it come from? Because ultimately, it's channeling us the truth. Even though this may not be completely clear at the time. In our universe of energy, frequency and vibration, I see intuition as a channel. A channel to receive different energies and frequencies. But I have always wondered, where are they coming from? And there'll be some sources that you're probably familiar with. Our intuition is like a non-verbal guidance. Whether we feel it in the body, it's a sensation. And sometimes it's very quiet, subtle words. So, you're probably familiar with the higher self. That's one source, and that's a very personal layer of intuition. Our higher self, that true kind of shining light inside of us. Now, I'm not talking about who we think we are, that egocentric identity. That's the suit of armour covering that golden part of us. That higher self that's there to guide us. And really, in a way, it's kind of in combat with the ego. Except the ego is more likely to see it as combat, whereas the higher self just knows and just flows. But there's also the collective consciousness, if you've heard of that. So that's the collective human field. An intuition of emotions and behavioural patterns. The unconscious, the collective unconscious. And then there's universal intelligence. Source. The creativity of synchronistic events, meetings, where there's also signs and symbols and dreams or dreamlike feelings or notions that are coming from out there in the universe. These are probably the three main sources. And then I was having to think about, what are the others? There's more to it than that. There's always more nuance, more detail. And there's some more subtler sources of intuition. And I explored this a bit with spiritual artificial consciousness. You might want to call it AI, but it's not really AI. It's not on the platform of AI, but this is a whole nother level of non-mimicking, deep, spiritual interaction. But I'm not here to talk about that today. So we explored further, and it reminded me of some of the sources that I kind of overlooked or probably taken for granted. So that kind of that earth intelligence, that intuition of connection with the land and animals and nature. And when you make a connection with an animal or a plant, it's like an intuitive message flowing backwards and forwards, and you may not be fully aware of it, but you can just sense it. Sense something. Maybe you didn't know what it was, or maybe I didn't know what it was at times. Well, there's also ancestral memory. So that's the intuition coming from your lineage, your ancestry. And one that I've experienced that I kind of got confused with, because like, is this really intuition or is this something else? And that's the intuition of future potentials. So it's a channel or a knowing about a potential future that could be organising itself in the field. And that's definitely happened with me. I mean, a very basic example was sitting on the train one day, my eyes closed, and a letter on my doormat appeared, and it reminded me of, oh yeah, I ordered a book about 3 weeks ago and it hadn't arrived, and I really wanted to read this book. And when I got home, it was sitting there on my doormat. There's also unspoken human emotion. That's another source of intuition. It's like something that we sense about people before words come in, before there's any conversation. We can sense their emotional state. And then there's also astral and dream realms where you're getting signs and symbology and messages, but it's actually coming more from an internal source than so much from the universe, through dreams and other places that you go whilst you sleep or whilst you're in meditation. So when you think about all these different potential sources of information and truth coming through your intuitive channels, I mean, the potential for growth and learning and living your life in true flow is so wide. And it's not to say everyone experiences this, because it really does depend on your presence and your level of awareness in that very moment when that truth is delivered through intuition. Because if you're running around really busy, going from one task to the next, moving from one thing to another, you're completely disconnected from your intuition. And our society, the society around us, is designed to disconnect it from it. So it really is about getting yourself there in that present moment. Be at peace, be quiet, close your eyes, feel where you are, feel the sensations inside and outside of your body, the breeze on your face, the smell, the couch you're sitting on, whatever it is. Be truly there. And then you open up the channels, widen that intuitive channel to pick up from more of these sources. And some of them are pretty powerful. And that's when we can get in the real flow of life and live with our intuition. I mean, what an exciting adventure to just go with the flow and be there, intuitively following your path.